martial law administrator. It dissolved the National Assembly, the provincial assemblies, the Senate, removed the Prime Minister, the Federal Minister, ministers for state, the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, the Chairman and the Deputy Chairman of the Senate, provincial governors, provincial ministers and chief ministers. In short, all the representatives of the people. He then went on to promise to hold elections within 90 days, but repeatedly broke his promise. He retained power through brute force. After 7 years of his despotic rule, he too, like General Ayub, wanted to be immersed in democratic dialogue. A referendum pursuant to the Referendum Order 1984 was held. The ballot paper stated that Ziaullah had, and I quote, initiated the process for the Islamization of laws and taken measures to enable the people to order their lives in accordance with the teachings and requirements of Islam. That deliberate attempts are being made by Western interests to undermine the foundations of Pakistan by bringing into ridicule its ideology and its Islamic way of life, without elaborating further, and that he was determined to hold free and fair elections. Therefore, the people were called upon to answer whether they wanted the laws of Pakistan to conform to the injunctions of Islam and wanted an orderly transfer of power to the elected representatives of the people. Can you possibly say no to this? An affirmative answer meant, this was the trick, that General Ziaullah shall continue to have been duly elected President of Pakistan for a term of 5 years from the date of the first meeting of the Parliament in the joint session. One could not vote for anyone else on the ballot. The turnout in General Zia's referendum was higher than in all previous general elections. I asked, whoever I met, I asked, did you vote? They said no. I never met a person who actually voted in that election. 98.5% votes were cast which answered the question in the affirmative. He then cut and pasted the constitution, pasted both his military title and name into the constitution, General Muhammad Ziaullah, and ordained himself president for a term of 5 years. But this constitution provision was breached due to the death of General Zia. An election followed, the democratic constitutional order was restored, and once again the people were governed by the elected representatives. The democratic sojourn lasted just a few years. As another constitutional transgression then took place, General Parvez Musharraf did not take kindly to his sacking from his position of army chief. Instead of challenging his removal by filing a representation and then an appeal, he reinstated himself. And simultaneously, on 12th October 1999, hooted out the National Assembly, the provincial assemblies, so on and so forth, and all elected representatives of the people. He said he did all this because, ironically, the democratic authority of the government stood, these are his words, gravely eroded, but he didn't extend further. The country's new savior tasked himself to, use his own words, restore national cohesion, revive the economy, and restore confidence, end quote. And this he would do by resorting to, his words, political restructuring, unquote, so that genuine and sustainable democracy could be established. He would also, quote, combat terrorism and sectarianism, bring about good governance, economic revival, poverty alleviation, and ensure law and order. General Musharraf, like the three ruling generals before him, also wanted to cast himself in a democrat's mold. He held a referendum on 30th April 2002. The question posed on the ballot paper was whether the people wanted to strengthen local government, establish democracy, instill reforms, combat terrorism and sectarianism, and abide by the vision of the Qaid-e-Azam. And if they did, they would automatically get General Musharraf as president for the next 5 years. A high voter turnout was shown and an overwhelming 98% answered the ballot paper question in the affirmative. Doctoral studies could help determine why dictators always secure 98% of the votes cast. It's not for me to comment. The founders of Pakistan had a clear vision of Pakistan. The first elected body of the country, the Constituent Assembly, of which the Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah was president, produced the objectives resolution encapsulating the vision of Pakistan. The Constitution of 56 did not survive, but the objectives resolution did. The 1956 Constitution was supplanted by the 1962 Constitution, which was rendered irrelevant by its own maker, and then the 1971 debacle took place, which left us with half the country. The 1973 Constitution preserves the vision of Pakistan set out in the objectives resolution and crowns the Constitution as its preamble. Generals Mirza Ayub, Yahya, Zia and Musharraf trampled underfoot the objectives resolution, robbed the people of their voice, snatched away their rights, destroyed the basic concept of a people governed by the laws they themselves make, crippled the enforcement mechanism of the judiciary, which is the guardian of constitutional order and the enforcer of fundamental rights. Article 5 of this our Constitution says that obedience to the Constitution is the inviolable obligation of every citizen. Salaried employees of the state, including the 5 generals, had to also abide by the terms of their employment, which they breached when they overthrew the democratic constitutional order and installed themselves as rulers. The 1973 Constitution prescribes the oath taken by members of the armed forces, requiring them to, quote, uphold the Constitution of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, which embodies the will of the people, and not to engage in any political activities whatsoever. All oaths prescribed in the Constitution commence by reciting the name of Allah, in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. There are, unlike maybe most in this room who are bound by Article 5, I take a constitutional oath, I am bound by my oath. I am also bound to honor, since I am a servant in the sense I receive money from the public exchequer, do my job. So on people who take oath under the Constitution, there is a much greater responsibility, if I may so put it, than any other person. So it's not only in obedience to the Constitution, but it is to honor the job you're doing and to abide by the oath of office that you take, which ordinary citizens do not. It is our duty to honor the sacrifices made by the founders of Pakistan, the members of the All India Muslim League and its president, Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and to remain obedient to the Constitution and the rule of law. The Qaid-e-Azam visited my hometown, Quetta, and delivered a speech to the officers of the Staff College on 14th June 1948. He said, Staff College is a place where every person in the army over a certain rank must attend before he is promoted to the next position. So, and now I'm putting the Qaid, and I conclude with a quote of his. During my talks with 1 or 2 high-ranking officers, I discovered that they did not know the implications of the oath taken. I would like to take the opportunity of refreshing your memory by reading the prescribed oath to you. I solemnly affirm in the presence of Almighty God that I owe allegiance to the Constitution and the Dominion of Pakistan. This was the oath. And Qaid says, mark the word Constitution. I should like you to study the Constitution, understand its true constitutional and legal implications when you say that you will be faithful to the Constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our salvation. It has always been our salvation. Whenever we have gone away from it, we have seen the results. It's not conjecture or surmise. It is hard reality. How the country was lost, and the rest you are seeing. Whenever there are dictatorial interventions, the results are always bad for the people, bad for the country. Thank you very much. And once again, I would like to thank the organizers for honoring me and inviting me.